Have you ever noticed how some people don't need to shout, beg, or fight to get respect? They don't send 100 messages. They don't chase. They simply step back. And suddenly, the entire dynamic changes. The air feels different. People who once took them for granted begin to wonder, where did they go? What happened? And without a single word, the balance of power shifts. Now, imagine you did the same. Imagine if you stopped being available, emotionally, mentally, physically, to everyone all the time. What would happen? Would you lose people, or would you finally lose the weight you've been carrying? Well, you see, being always available sounds like kindness. It sounds like loyalty. But more often than not, it's a form of self-abandonment. It's the silent agreement you make to place everyone else's needs above your own. And here's the truth most people will never tell you. When you stop being constantly available, you stop being constantly used. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." For years, you've been reacting on autopilot, answering every call, replying to every message, showing up for every crisis. You tell yourself, it's just who I am. I help people. But in reality, you've been programmed to equate self-worth with availability, programmed to feel guilty if you say no, programmed to think that if you pull back, you'll lose connection. The problem? What is always available is rarely valued. Think about it. A rare gem is guarded, protected, treasured. A rock on the side of the road? People step over it without a thought. When you are everywhere for everyone, your presence becomes background noise. It blends in. It becomes invisible. And the ones who truly value you, they don't expect you to be on call 24/7. They respect your boundaries because they have their own. But those who don't respect your boundaries, they will notice the moment you change, and they will panic. Not because they miss you, not because they love you, but because your absence disrupts the system they depended on. A system where you provided them with attention, validation, comfort, or distraction on demand. You've been the emotional emergency button in their lives. Whenever they felt bored, lonely, angry, or insecure, they pressed it. And like clockwork, you responded. But the day you stop reacting immediately, the day you choose silence over explanation, is the day the game changes. This is not about ghosting people for no reason. It's about taking ownership of your time, your energy, and your mental space. Jung spoke about individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. That process can't happen if every minute of your life is consumed by other people's noise. Silence, used with intention, is not weakness. It is presence amplified. It is a boundary with a heartbeat. So ask yourself, who really gets upset when you're no longer instantly available? Who accuses you of changing? Who tries to provoke you just to pull you back into the old pattern? Those reactions are clues. They tell you exactly who is benefiting from your lack of boundaries. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you explain yourself when you owe no explanation, every time you rush to respond out of fear of disappointing someone, you give away a piece of your peace. And at the end of the day, you're left with frustration, exhaustion, and a quiet resentment you can't quite put into words. This is why emotional availability has to be earned, not demanded, not assumed. When you stop being available to everyone, something uncomfortable happens at first. Silence, guilt, doubt. But if you hold that line, the silence becomes space. The guilt turns into relief, and the doubt is replaced by clarity. The people who truly love you will adjust. The people who only used you will leave, and both outcomes are a gift. Let's be honest. The modern world has conditioned you to believe that speed equals care. Answer quickly, show up instantly, solve immediately. If you don't, you're cold, selfish, or unreliable. But here's the reality. Urgency is often just manipulation wearing a mask. When something is truly important, it will wait for your presence. When it's not, it demands your reaction now because it thrives on impulse, not thought. Every impulsive reaction costs you psychic energy, that mental, emotional fuel that Jung described as the core of the human psyche. And your energy is finite. Every angry reply, every late-night argument, every emotional rescue drains it. The more you leak it, the less you have for yourself. When you conserve it, something shifts. You start walking into rooms differently. You no longer explain your absence. It explains itself. And the quiet you carry becomes louder than any speech. But be warned, when you reclaim your time, you will disrupt old patterns. And patterns don't like to be broken. People may accuse you of arrogance. They may call you distant, cold, or hard to reach. They will project their discomfort onto you because they are forced to face the emptiness you no longer fill. Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." When you stop being available, you stop distracting them from their own reflection. And that is unsettling. So the question becomes, are you willing to be misunderstood in order to be free? Are you willing to lose people who only valued you for what you could give, not for who you are? Because the moment you are no longer accessible on demand, you become rare, and rarity creates value. Stop being available to everyone and start being available to yourself. Not every call deserves an answer. Not every message needs a reply. Not every conflict requires your participation. You don't have to announce your boundaries. You don't have to defend your peace. You don't owe the world your constant presence. You owe yourself your own life back. And here's the part no one tells you. At first, the silence will feel strange. It will feel like loss. But soon, it will feel like freedom. And in that freedom, you will find a version of yourself you haven't met in years. The one who is not exhausted, not reactive, not living on borrowed time. That version of you is waiting, but they can only appear once you stop being available to everyone else and start being available to them. If this speaks to you, then maybe it's time. Time to stop living on call. Time to protect the one resource you can never replace, your energy. Because the truth is simple. When you stop being available to everyone, everything changes.